Okay, I think we are live. How I start every one of these. If this sounds and looks okay, let me know. But I think we should be good. Let's see here. Yes, I think this all looks good. I think I have everything pulled up too for this. But essentially, I'll give a quick intro. Well, should I wait until I know if people can hear me? Hello, Nemo. Welcome. I will count that as someone here. Okay, so we are on, I guess, episode 2 of building the seed language for our Pillar World languages, and Jake is not here today, so I am on my own, and the goal for today is to work on the culture and words list for the seed language and see how many things that we can get added and how many we can actually create in the seed language, I guess. I'm very unconfident about that bit, but I did just stick all the letters. Actually, let me show this real quick. We are doing, find it, this one. Ha, here we go. Welcome, Tinglish. We are doing all of these word lists, right? And so all of these sounds that we had come up with last time that are, I think, in the seed language phonology, I copied them and just put them into the Lexifer Online thing, which I've never used before. I did this 20 minutes ago, and maybe it will work to generate things. I don't really know. I started trying to set up my generator. However, I don't have any of these fancy characters in there, and I haven't quite figured out how to get it all set up to use IPA, so that would take too long given that I procrastinated doing it. But how is everyone's week going, getting started? I am doing good, I think. Welcome, Conlanging. Okay. Okay, we have someone here who knows Lexifer. You can tell me once we get there if it's if I'm using it horribly incorrectly. I was very confused with the word structure part of it. I don't know. We'll get there. We'll get there. But first we need to come up with the culture and the words lists. And I've been doing a lot of brainstorming over the weekend with the spec bio side of things for the world, because that is going to be what I think the most relevant things for me are going to be to name, right? Is what is going to be the things that they would equate to being similar to those things enough for naming purposes. And so obviously that could be different for different groups of people, but there could be some similarities there. And also I don't need to pick a bunch of words for things that won't exist in this world, you know? So I have that. And also last time Bavalia had sent me a list of, I think it's almost 1,000 good words to start with. So we can also scroll through those if we need some more words. But, okay. I think the things that are going to be good to start with, because I think right now, we just need to brainstorm words. I think that's the, I don't know, work assignment. But I think that the first thing that I'm going to want to have is some sort of word for dragon. And now this won't necessarily, what are we talking? Naming language here? So I think, so I am going to use it as more of a naming language. Miles, welcome. But I think the idea is for it to be a little bit more extensive, at least from a figuring out the grammatical stuff enough that we can use it to figure out the naming language, because a lot of, I'm mostly just repeating things that Jake told me, but a lot of the grammatical concepts can come up in naming of various things. We want to kind of have a higher level of that, but I will just be using it as a naming language down the road, but we need to come up with lots of things for it, I guess. Apparently. But yeah, so the first thing is dragons, because obviously Pillar World will have pillars and dragons. That's the big thing here. And dragon won't necessarily mean the same thing to these people, but I assume they'll have a word for whatever their closest mythological creature is. And since I don't really care about specifically the culture of the, like, initial people 10,000 plus years ago per se, other than, like, things that I want to be similar across Pillar World. I don't think it matters what this creature is other than the fact that, like, they have a word for something that's dragon-like, right? So dragon-like. Yeah, for those concepts that won't be roots, that can help think about word order grammar. Yeah, that's true. It's also just fun to come up with the grammar stuff in relation to culture. Yes, that is theoretically true. I have less experience there. So a question to ask yourself, since there are many kinds of dragons in this world, is there one word that covers them all, or are multiple words for different categories / species? So I think they'll have a bunch of different like individual names for them, sort of like when you think about birds. So like there's a word for bird, but like there's hawks and eagles and ducks, and then like more specific terminology. So like I imagine there'll be a lot of various words for them. And it'll depend on each individual region probably, but I imagine I'll want to use a mix of con words and descriptive words that like an English speaker would understand, because like I don't want, if I have like a ton of dragons in a book, I don't want them to have to learn like 80 different con words just to understand all the different species of dragons. Like using descriptive words along with like a couple general terms that are from the conlang would probably be most helpful. Let's see. You don't even need a mythological creature. Dinosaurs are just terrible lizards. So potentially, but a lot of them don't really seem lizard-like. Because like some of them are feathered and would look more like birds. Like there are going to be some that have scales, but there's going to be some that like they don't look necessarily like lizards. Strong chance with dragons being part of the world initially. It might be related to the word for birds or reptiles, like how we call. Yeah, exactly. Like it's some sort of general term, or like I don't know what it would mean in the initial culture, but it could just mean something like mythological creature or monster, or you know what I mean? Like it could just be a general term that they're like, whoa, and people tend to apply it to them. That kind of vibe. Hello, Bavalia. I think the only thing you missed is that I have your list of words on standby for when we get there. So far we've done dragon. Yeah, so you can mix and match adjectives and compound nouns. Yes, that would be the hope, I think. So yes, so I think word for dragon, right? There's probably going to have to be some sort of word for flying, would probably be pretty appropriate. I don't know for doing something like this. I guess it would be fly, because all the rest of the stuff is like grammar, would be all the forms, like flying is like grammatical things, maybe. So that would be important. And then I guess anything associated with these. So like they'd probably have a word for wing, claw, tail, fang, all those types of things. Feather, scale, all that sort of stuff, right? All the terms with them, which I feel like won't be necessary for most things, but I think anything around the dragons would be pretty important. So then also, I think we want a word for bat, because I have a thought that there could be a non-dragon creature that is sort of like if pterosaurs didn't go extinct and evolved into fit like a bat-like niche. You know what I mean? That could have potentially stuck around with the dragons, because most of the dragons like wouldn't necessarily fit that niche. So they could call something bat-like, even if it's not a bat, right? They'd still potentially use a similar word for it. Yes, I think I have the PDF too. I don't have that one pulled up right now. So yes, I have that. Along with that, we'll probably also want to know what the word for spider is. Not that they are going to, well, they might have spiders, but like spider bug, web, silk, those would all be relevant for the dragons that are going to produce silk. Was it the Conlanger's thesaurus? I'll let Bavalia answer that. Let's see, what else do I have? Other things associated with dragons that we'd probably want words for. They must have itsy bitsy spiders. I see no reason why they wouldn't, honestly. They probably would have actual spiders as well, because like most of those insects would have been around in the Jurassic, which we had already looked up. So that's all in game. I'm also gonna want a word for like lacquer enamel resin kind of word. Something like that. That's going to get into some fun spec bio stuff I have. Okay, honey, that would be relevant. I'm just kind of scrolling through and thinking things that could be particularly relevant. Let's go to terrain features for a minute. And I'm sure we'll go through and like expand these more. Yes, there will be insectivore dragons, absolutely. Oh, and we'll want a word for fish too, because there will be pescivore dragons as well. So terrain features, we'll obviously want probably something like island, cliff. I'm trying to think if there's like, I mean, they're called like sky islands. Sky isn't really a terrain feature, but we could just go with that. Sky. Is there a difference between practice versus praxis? I don't know what that is. Maybe? Okay. So island, cliff, sky. Trying to think of other ways they would describe like the pillars potentially. Like obviously we're gonna have things like mountains, we're gonna have things like hills, river, lake, all that type of thing. They'll probably have a word for dam because they'll create their own dams. So that will kind of stick around potentially. I think what else would make sense. I mean, swamp. Ah, that's true. That's a good point, Pavilia. Yeah, because like you could have like pillar, you could have plat. Oh, did I spell that right? Whoa, look at me. Okay, pillar plateau, platform maybe. I once called this platform world instead of pillar world, which is way less cool. Ooh, spire. That's a good one, Jill. Okay, spire. Tower. Yeah, okay. Yeah, all of those potentially could be very good there. Oh, meadows, glades. Yeah. Meadow. Well, actually, no. We're not going to use the word meadow because there are no grass and no flowers, so I feel like they would not have things there that they would call that. Obelisk, tower, mountain, etc. All could be words for a pillar. Yeah, yeah, that's true. And it's possible, like, in world that those mean, like, I don't know. Yeah, no flowers, but there's other weird things. Yes, no grass. So this is part of the transition off of the Jurassic equivalent-esque sort of thing. So I'm mostly starting there and then branching forward in various directions, and there were no grasses in the Jurassic period. So as of right now, I'm not planning on there being any grasses. I don't see a particular reason they would have evolved on the pillars. Yeah, yeah. And there's different like that type of dispersal of seeds wouldn't be particularly beneficial on Pillar World. There's other types of seeds that would be more beneficial given that land areas are small, but that's getting into like the super specific stuff. So flowerless fruits. So yeah, there won't technically be any fruits like what we call fruits, but there'd be things that are sort of like fruits. Like that we'd look at them and be like, "Oh, I think that's a fruit," but it's not necessarily a fruit. Yeah, it's going to be weird. It's going to be a little bit weird, but yes, actually on that route, plants. I think I have a list for Let's see. Let's see. Where is my notes on plants? Here we go. Okay. Does that mean only veggies? Technically, there won't be vegetables either. Yeah, there will be no vegetables. Other than there'll be a few things that the people bring with them. Yeah, so there's, yeah, yes, it's, yes. Both very, very light, seeds, like, sort of, I need to go into all the specific words for them. But yes, let's go down my list real quick. But there's gonna be, like, conifers, right? So I don't know if they'll have a specific word for conifer, but, like, trees that are, like, pine trees, you know what I mean, will be a thing. So, like, the needle, there'd be potentially a word for that. The cone, that would all be a thing. Technically, like, you know, that sort of thing. There will be, let's see. They probably want their word for, like, a palm tree. Well, not like palm tree, but like the cycads. Yeah, that's true. Yes, there will be lots of ferns and mosses. That will absolutely be a thing. Yes, so we have needles, we have cones. There's going to be, let's see, bark. We'll probably have a word for bark. They will probably bring over their word for berry, even though there won't be technically, like, taxonomically berries there, but there'll be things like berries, like juniper berries and yew berries, which aren't actually berries. Yeah, George, it's very cool. Like, I've been learning a lot about it, and it's kind of crazy. But yeah, so they'd probably use the word berry, even though they're not actually berries. We'll need a word for burrs, because burrs seeds are going to be the main way that a lot of the seeds are going to evolve, to latch onto dragons and go to different pillars. Yes, Tinguish, yes. Those are at least reasonably evolvable from what was there in Jurassic that would stick around here, I believe. Yeah. You can probably reuse the word for flowers as something similar as well. Yeah, if I run into something that I feel like would be flower-like, we could do that. So far, I don't have anything that would actually look like a flower that I'm aware of. Yes, but so, yeah, we'd have cycads. We might have like, something equivalent to, like, a sago palm, however that's pronounced. That sort of a thing, which is going to be very interesting. So they need a word for ferment. I feel like that I'm not doing these all in the right category, but I'm, like, sort of doing where the words are grouped together. Yes. And so flour, they would use the word flour when it comes to pounding down the seeds of the cycad trees. They wouldn't have what we call flour. That wouldn't be a real thing. Oh, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's probably too, George, yeah. And also, like, things that would have reasonably evolved, you know what I mean? I can come up with. Yes. Okay, so then we also need ginkgo trees, which we'll probably want a word for, like, fan. Actually, they might use the word flower for the leaves of some of the extinct species of ginkgo trees, potentially. Maybe. Because a lot of them were, like, fan-shaped leaves. So then, horsetails, this type of plant. Although, like, I don't necessarily know if they would have known all these words. But yeah, definitely ferns. Definitely, like, we'd have a word for fiddlehead, which would kind of be our veggie alternative. Mushroom. There'd be a word for, like, a tuber or a root. Okay, so then I'm going to spec bio a type of vining plant. So I guess we'd have a word for vine. And I think I'm going to just call those, like, Well, I guess it would depend on which culture, but we'll go with vine for now. And then let's see. Yeah, I think that covers what we need there. Okay, so then I have pictures of the ginkgo trees. Yeah, because they do sort of look like petals. So maybe we'll have the word petal, but not the word flower. Because like they would see these trees that look like trees they know, and they're not going to like call that tree a flower, right? If they have a more specific word for it. Do I have just like a general word for seed yet? Yes. Okay. So we have all of that. We have burr, we have seed. Yes. Okay. So then other things that they would have animal-wise. Have you thought about what plants are used to make alcohol? Because that brings with it reuse of the terms used for the myriad types of alcohol. Oh, that's interesting. So they're going to have alternative plants to tubers. So like I'll have to look into this a little bit. I know they have plenty of toxic things that they'd have to like ferment and stuff to get break them down enough for them to be edible and not like poisonous anymore. But that's a good point. I'll have to think about that. Let me make myself. What about the booze? Because like there'll be something that's alcohol like, right? So let's just like alcohol. Something like that. There'll be something, right? All right. So then what else do we have here? Let's see. Animals. We are going to keep the giant dragonflies. Because why would we get rid of them? Dragonflies are amazing predators. They're like, I think their success rate as a predator is better than like any other predator on Earth. And they're just like epic. I don't know. I was watching a whole like documentary video on them. Yeah. Well, okay. So no, Miles, it's not actual honey. It's not real honey, but we might be able to make something like mead from it anyway. I feel like they might use honey as a descriptive word for it, but it is very much not that. There are no bees. Some smaller dragons may also eat dragonflies. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. We'd potentially still have beetles. We'd have cockroaches because those will be, why would those ever go extinct? Those are going to be around forever and outlive all of us. Yes, we'd have all of that. Let's see. We're gonna have some like rodent-like creatures. They won't be the same as like modern day ones, but things sort of like in the mole vole category. So like we could just do like a general like mole vole / burrowing creature, right? Some sort of word for that. Ooh, tree barks fermented into alcohol. That would be helpful. Yeah, no flowers, no bees, no honey. Yeah. Technically, the honey is going to be an excretion from a dragon. So, like, yeah. Yeah, there'll be some saps as well. Did I include that? Because, like, that's definitely, yeah, we'll add sap. Sap will definitely be a thing. Or that, yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a thing. I have this whole idea because this really isn't related to the language, but I think it's interesting. One of the dragons that I want to do, because we aren't going to have a lot of like really hard like materials, like there'll be metal and like metalworking, but it will be very limited. So it's like the idea of having some way to strengthen materials and stuff like that would be very beneficial for them. And I have this idea for a dragon that sort of makes its own like caves and materials, and it like uses a branch off of the like the bombardier beetle styles. Like it would have been an evolutionary branch off of that uses, instead of a catalyst to like explode what it like can excrete or whatever, it would use it to cure. what it is excreting. So essentially it sort of rubs something honey-like out to sort of build the like a super strong like nest type of thing. And then it can then excrete this other thing that they get from special plants to then cure it into a super hardened material. And then the people could learn to sort of harvest that and use it like a lacquer or an enamel. That's the vibe. That's the vibe. It's gonna be weird. Yes. Okay. Yes. So small burrowing creatures. So let's add a word for burrow, den, nest. This sounds like swallow nests a bit. Yeah, potentially something is like similar to that, right? Where they create these like really hard protective homes that like dragons can't break through or other like predators can't break through so that they're safe in their nests. But it will be very like I kind of want it to be like transparent, and that this is how they can end up using creating glass is by creating layers of this like stuff and then curing it, and you know it could be used for lots of things. Nectarivores, except there's no nectar because no flowers. Yep. There will be no nectarivores. Burrow, den, nest. Yes. Okay. So they might have a word for I'm not really sure where to put this, but like let's put it with animals. Night or like nocturnal. That would be a good word to have a base for. Okay. There can also be any categories of like frogs and salamanders. Those can all still be a thing. They were present in the Jurassic, and they would fit in niches that would likely still survive. Oh yeah, cave. Hey. Cave. We definitely need cave. Okay, so we have salamander. Yeah. Tadpole maybe would still be a thing then. Yes, because those would be very different niches than most of the dragons. We have fish. Are there caves on the pillars? So there's going to be like some slight cave-like things on the sides of them, a little bit. Yeah, well, also keep in mind that like the pillars are huge from that perspective. So like there might like it's not going to be like a perfectly flat uh cliff wall, right? There'll be like some texture to it, maybe some caves kind of thing. Um yeah, smaller, shallower caves. Yeah, they're not going to be like deep cave networks in the pillars. It would be like, oh, there's like one thing here. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So oh, Chris, do we want like a word for let me think. I feel like I need to Google what bugs existed and what kind of fish existed in the Jurassic fish. That's gonna be super helpful. Okay. Let's see. Raven fish. I want like high level categories. This is not helpful. And all the fish are probably gonna be kind of weird. So I don't know how many weird words for them they would use. I'm not sure. We'll come back to that. Okay, they probably would still have. So they would have some snakes still. The only ones that probably would have not been outcompeted might be like burrowing snakes, maybe like something like that. Yeah, no Underdark, sadly. Although there's like the mists, the weird like you could just like fall through them. Yes, yep. About 1 kilometers up, yes. Or at least like that's sort of the safety level, you know what I mean? Like I imagine it might have a little bit of fluctuation to it. Yes. Snakes, I don't know if I want to have separate lizards. No. We have the bat-like pterosaur potentially. That's fine. Okay, yeah, I think that's all the words I have there. Yes. Ooh, what about words for like quill? Because we already had feather, fang, quill, armor. We have the burr seeds. You could also have like river snakes that can fill the crocodile niche of ambush hunters. Okay. Okay, real talk though. Crocodiles are terrifying. I also watched a documentary today on crocodiles. They're so smart. Did you know how smart crocodiles are? It's terrifying. Apparently, like people that are hunting out in areas where there are crocodiles, they're like, it's like you need to have an OPSEC. Like you need to change your patterns every day because like if you go like to the bathroom at the same time every day or go clean your dishes after dinner in the same area every day, by the third day, the crocodile is going to be like, oh, yeah, I know what you do there. And it's just laying in wait there and be like, are you going to come wash your dishes now? Because I'm going to eat you. Terrifying. They are so smart. So smart. Armor. There we go. Yeah, so weren't there Jurassic? The ancestors, were they around then? Yeah, so they had some things around then that were like those. I don't know if they were actually. Yes, okay. There were relatives of modern crocodiles that existed then, but I don't think that we would actually see anything that is as specialized for being a like because they're basically like what's that word for like we're beach I mean beach isn't the right word but like banks they specialize in ambushing like along the edges, right? So when things come near the water. And so I feel like there's not enough water for those to have really stuck around. Like maybe you might find them on like if there just happened to be one giant pillar that happened to be like dominated by swamp for some strange reason. Maybe, but I feel like the odds of it are so low and they wouldn't really have an easy way to be moved between pillars. So like if you have one loss of like extinction event across the pillars because like these pillars would be really really susceptible to extinction events, I don't feel like you would have that. But I feel like you would have a dragon that niches into that, right? Where they have their like scales that then evolve into allowing them to spend more time in the water, right? So like I could see a dragon that fills that niche. So maybe we add crocodile like as a comparative word, right? A dragon that's like a crocodile. Wait, is the horse croc? Oh, the one that can stand up on its. Oh, that guy's scary. Is it? Let me Google that. I mean, modern day crocodiles can run at like 18 miles per hour, which is pretty crazy. Oh, the hoofed crocodiles, yeah. In the Eocene epoch, million of years after the Jurassic, was the hoofed crocodiles. Those things are terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. But that's sort of what I imagine these like the crocodile like dragons looking like, except obviously they'd have the wings, but they'd probably be flightless. Yes. But yes, those things are scary. Phytosaurs. What are Phytosaur? Phytosaur. Oh, those things. Yeah. That's late Triassic. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there definitely would have been something like it, you know? Okay, what about general words for categories like animal, beast, and livestock? Actually, that's a good point. Let's get into livestock. Um, where do I have the notes for this somewhere? Oh, yeah, that's true. I feel like yeah, potentially. So, well, no, we're not gonna do livestock because I feel like it wouldn't be used to name something just because, like, I don't know. That would like, I wouldn't keep that, for any reason, right? Like, I would just call them livestock. So I don't know if that would have let's see. Dragon, lizard, snake, crocodile, bat could all be preserved by being used as the word for dragon. Yeah. Well, yeah, I feel like there needs to be, like, more of a high level word for them though, because a lot of them are so different, right? Like, you could have the ones that are, like, crocodile-like dragons, right? But they're still this other thing, right? Even if they did call them crocodiles, I guess. Oh, damselfly. Damselfly. That's fun. Because were those were that would have still been valid, right? Yeah, late Jurassic. Boom. Cool. We can still have those. What time period do these people come from if they're from Earth? So they're from Earth specifically, right? An Earth-like place, not specifically Earth, but where everything is Earth-like, and it would have been about 10,000 years ago. So you're looking at like, uh, you know, nine, what years? Wow, like 8,000 BCE equivalent time period, I guess. Although it could have been a little bit more modern than that because they would have had a bit of a like collapse once they arrived there and had to re-evolve new technologies and stuff. So it could be more modern, but probably no more modern than like first 100 years of the Common Era, probably. Okay, so what was I thinking? Oh yeah. Okay. Egg. We do have a chicken-like dragon. They don't look anything like chickens, but they would fill a similar role to chickens. So I feel like maybe someone might use that word. Okay, 10,000 years ago, our cultural idea of a dragon probably doesn't exist. Yeah, like I feel like dragon, like our word for dragon isn't what it would have been. It would be more just like they might have a word for some sort of mythological creature or monster that they might generally use for this, right? Like beast or like, you know what I mean? Like something like monster, something like that. Potentially that could be used. Like it wouldn't be as specific as like dragon, but you know, it will make my life easier if there's something like that. Okay, so what we also need is that these people are bringing a few domesticated things with them already. So they are going to bring with them some alpacas that are essentially like the Barbados black belly sheep, just similarly evolved alpacas. So they're like tropical alpacas because why not? You know? So they'll have like shorter hair versus like wool or something like that. Yeah. Well, so like they'll have metalworking. Like they had metalworking back then. Like that's not, I feel like going to be a problem. It would be limited, but they would still have those kinds of technologies. What else did I want them to bring? I wanted them to bring alpacas, and then I was considering bringing like a goat because I feel like goat is good. But if you have alpacas, would you need a goat? You know what I mean? Like they're not going to be getting wool from these alpacas, right? So they're really just for maybe light pack animals within limited things, and also mainly probably for meat and potentially for, like, milk, that sort of thing. Um, so alpacas, I don't know if there'd be any purpose for goats because they would fill the same role as goats, but be different. I thought they had earlier stuff around that. I mean, I should know. Shouldn't I? Let me just like go to my own website. Hold on. I thought they had like early. Well, when was? Am I adding zeros or removing zeros in my head? Let's see. Preliminary copper metallurgy was discovered independently in several regions between 9000 and 4000 BCE. Yeah, so like they could definitely have some early metallurgy. I think in that case, it might make more sense to have these people have had a slightly more modern from our time period. So technically, they'll be in future Earth time there, but they will have had a whole like reset essentially with different resources and like a different world to adapt to. But in order for them to come up to the technology I want them to after 10,000 years, maybe they need to be more in the 1000 BCE time period. Yeah, because like they were using high temperatures more than 5000 BCE. Yeah. Yeah. So I think let's go with that. Let's go with their like 1 to 2 thousand years BCE, right? So they have a decent amount of metallurgy. When were they using iron? Um Wait, don't I have like a fancy graphic of the different time periods that I made? Didn't I do that? Did I not do that? Oh, here we go. Okay. 1000 BCE could have been the start of an Iron Age. Okay, so like starting the Iron Age, I feel like is a good time. So you can probably justify woolly alpacas. Well, but like they would. I feel like woolly alpacas wouldn't have survived very well, right? Because they would be not very like warm weather adapted. Or are you thinking if like some of the alpacas ended up in colder areas? Because I guess taller pillars could have woolly alpacas, and then lower pillars could have the short-haired alpacas. Although I don't think in 10,000 years they would have re-evolved for that distinction. So like I feel like for them to survive in the tropics, although again, I guess it depends on where they ended up. So it's whether or not I want these people to have had like warm weather adapted alpacas or cold weather adapted alpacas when they came over. Because you're not going to go that crazy far in just 10,000 years. Yeah, okay, okay. I'm glad we're all on the same page with 1000 BC being more realistic. Yes, exactly, yeah. Really? Did they? 5,000 years? Oh, I didn't realize it was that fast. Oh, they would have been settled for the most part. Like they would have been a lot more urban than what they're going to be long term. Not like urban, but like, you know, they would need enough people in like a small area speaking, the same language and having been teleported from one region. So they would have had to be relatively centralized at that point. Mm, okay, that's a good point. All right, so we'll have a word for like well, I have a word for alpaca, then maybe they will have a word for wool and have a word for hair. So like hairy alpaca. I don't know. That's not the right word, but like you know what I mean. That's what they'd use it for. Okay. Okay. That is cool though that they could still have wool higher up. Okay. So did I want anything else other than alpacas? I feel like Although then at this point, I feel like just having alpacas could be kinda weird. Like, you have everything that's weird and then just alpacas. Like, would that not be weird? You know? Hmm. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Do you all think that was weird? If you were reading this, like, book, and it's got this, like, very different world with all these pillars, and it's very different, and it doesn't look like our world, and has animals that are not like our world, like, you know? What climate did these proto-humans live in before being teleported? My thought was to have them be in a more easily adaptable climate, so something maybe in the subtropics was kind of my thought, subtropics to tropics. Probably not full rainforest, like they will mostly be ending up in, but something like that where they're not completely unequipped to deal with that sort of climate shock. Both because any of the crops they bring with would need to be able to survive, or I guess only the ones that would survive would. So I would like it to at least be close climate wise, but probably like a subtropic forested biome would be my guess. Um, yeah, that's kind of my thought. That's kind of my thought. Yeah, because I keep going back and forth. Keep going back and forth on what I want. But and I suppose I could have different places have brought them or not. But my other thought is like some of the foods that they might have brought. Like I guess I could have them bring a grain with them, like have them bring like corn is something we had talked about. Oh, bone, yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Bone, meat, um, leather, fur. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, we're aiming for a relatively broad seedling, and also, like, we're doing this partially just for the exercise, but I do want them to have some similar feels to the different languages, right? But, like, other than maybe a couple of, like, myths, right, from 10,000 years ago, for the most part, like, they're not gonna have any relevance to the older societies or cultures. Like, the only thing that is gonna matter is just things that are gonna maybe be semi-similar among them, and that's just for my purposes. So we're not being too crazy about that sort of thing. Um like their origins never matters. How the pillars were created never matters, right? This is just for our building it purposes. You know what I mean? So that we have a frame of reference in our heads as the creators of this. It could be fun to have a touchstone of something familiar. Yeah, with the alpacas. Yeah, I think that's a good point. But the question is it just alpacas then? Like, would it be less weird if there was a few things, you know? Um, It's really cool, but depending on who most of the audience is, it might stick out in places where you don't want the focus. Yeah, like, that's a good point. 'Cause, yeah, I mean, the people were definitely, like, clearly brought here. There will be some extent like, bits of that in the mythos, so, like but it wouldn't really be explained in the world why they just randomly have alpacas. Uh, it would be less weird if there were a few things that were clearly co-descended from the original arrivers beyond just humans themselves. Yeah, okay. So, like, yeah, we'll do alpacas, we do something else, we could maybe have goats, or maybe different, like, places have different things. I had thought about having sheep, but if I have alpaca, why would I need sheep? Um, I don't think I don't wanna bring chickens over because they're gonna have a better alternative to chickens. Don't wanna bring dogs over. Oh. I mean, I feel like So the thing with like dogs and cats, I I don't know if they brought them over, how well they would have survived. I mean, I feel like they would have survived better than like alpacas and goats, but people would have been a lot more incentivized to like keep the alpacas and goats around. But yes, there will be dragons that fit like there will be a lot of different domesticated dragons in different like ones that are good for dealing with pests, ones that are good for like guarding flocks. Like there will be things fitting those roles, but I don't think I want to have cats and dogs just because I want those roles filled by dragons. Rats could have come across. There definitely would have been plenty of predators for them, so it wouldn't have been like a crazy invasive thing on some islands where there weren't good predators to eat those. Those would be very happily eaten by the dragons of Pillar World. So I don't know if they necessarily would have stuck around given that they're not as well evolved. Divine intervention, Tinguish. It's hand wavy. Mm-hmm. The gods brought the people for purposes. Yep. What if cats and dogs went feral when people domesticated the superior dragons? Potentially. They wouldn't have had any way to move between the pillars, and they would have been very limited at first. So it's like possible that some would have stuck around, but for the most part, anything that was on the same pillars as the people probably would have either like I don't know. I don't know if they would have stuck around for that. Um, you know? Hmm. Yeah, so I mean, I imagine that these people would have been brought over with like either some peripheral stuff around them or like maybe they were like, you know, maybe their world I think that was maybe what I was thinking at some point. Their world was starting to be taken over by the same like fog that inhabits this world. And so they were then like, "Oh, well like we have this other version that like has these handy dandy pillars. Let me just plop you up there." You know what I mean? So maybe they had some time to gather their stuff to an extent, like if they were traveling, they would have kept some of those things potentially, and some of them would have survived and some wouldn't have. Like, I'm assuming whatever stuck around, there's going to be plenty of other things that they had brought that then died out or went extinct, because, like, it's very, very easy for things to go extinct here. So let's go with that. Okay. Let's move on to some of these other categories for a minute, and like we can think about that stuff more. So for weather, I mean, I feel like all the common stuff, storm, cloud, rain, sun, all that type of stuff would have been very relevant, like wind. They might have had words for particular. Where did that other? I think I thought I had a thing open. Where did I put it? Oh, here we go. Okay. Fog, yeah, that's a good one. Fog, mist. Yeah, exactly, Nemo. That's sort of vibe, right? Like, yeah. I imagine the first wave of humans are probably dropped on some of the largest pillars to give them the space to build up sustainable populations in the time before they develop the ability to travel between pillars. Yeah, that's probably true. Like they would have. I think we have like 12. Wait, I can scroll up and figure it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They were dropped initially in 7 places that didn't die out, at least, right? It probably could have been more, but maybe they all died. So 7 ones that stuck around, which are all these places with stars, I believe. Those are our starting locations. And yeah, it probably would have been larger pillars, or at least the ones who survived would have been probably on larger pillars. So I think that makes sense. Okay, so where were we? I feel like this isn't really weather, but like I feel like they have a word for fire. We can have a word for like soil, ground, like soil or I guess dirt, stone. They probably would have had like their similar words for like copper, bronze, iron, right? All of their various alloys. You know, we'll just throw some of them in there. Cloud. Da, 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 da. Yes, yes. Ice, snow, hail. Probably all be a thing. They might have a word for like a monsoon type thing, or just like, you know, strong winds. We can add a word for moon. Mud. A word for river. We have a word for rain. Sky. Did I not already have that? That makes sense. Yeah. Okay. Stars, planets, comets. Yeah. Star, planet, comet. Yeah, that would all probably be a thing. Let's see, air. We have cloud. Yeah, day and night. Darkness. Dust. Earth, soil, earth, land, ground. Fire, flame, we have that one. Fog. Oh, lightning. Thunder. Yeah. Do I have mist? Mist. I guess we can keep the word for sand. There's not really going to be much sand here at all. There's no beaches. You know what I'm saying? Smoke would be a thing, though. Snow, star, stone, sun, wave. Do I have wind? Yes, I do have wind. Okay. Okay, very good, very good. Okay, so that's pretty good. Clothing, I haven't really started thinking about clothing much at all, but like I think they'd have a word for like sandal, a more substantial shoe or boot. They'd probably have a word for some sort of like I don't know what they would have worn. So we could just like skirt, pants, tunic, wrap, dress. Yeah. Probably some sort of like head covering. Yeah. I mean, for the most part, again, like all of these words, like unless we think we're going to use it in the naming of things, for the most part, like I don't need to know what the word is for like shoe, because in the books, I'm just gonna say shoe. You know what I mean? Welcome, McCain. You wanted to watch this to make unhelpful comments, but you're too busy packing your books into your bookcases. I mean, honestly, that does sound like a lot of fun. Oh, we do have a word for armor, but let's go ahead and add a word for helmet, shield. Yeah, I did spell that right. Yeah. Helmet, shield. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Sword, spear, bow, arrow, right? Probably have words for those. That would all make sense. Let's add food. Let's water, oil. Ooh, axe could be a good one. It's definitely my favorite part of moving, or maybe just after buying new prints, etc., for making it cute. Yes, I love decorating. I guess their armor is going to be mostly leather or wood since they can't mine a lot of metal. So my thought is that most of their armor will probably either be some sort of dragon skin armor, but keep in mind that fancy like enamel stuff that they can make, all of their like armor would probably be like enameled with that. You know what I mean? Or at least for like more elite soldiers or something. Like that would be their nice armor. That would be their plate mail equivalent. You know what I mean? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then okay. Well, ooh, you know what? Yeah, sort of. Sort of. Yeah, I like that, Nemo. But it's gonna be like, I don't know. I haven't figured out all those super big details, but even though they won't have normal people bread, potentially, let's put regular bread because they would have had a word for that. Although I would just use the word bread. You know what I mean? So I don't know. So their tough material is transparent. Bet that's intimidating to see the warriors charging into battle. Well, so the thing it's coating wouldn't be transparent. It would just have like a transparent coating over it, if that makes sense. Or like semi-transparent. They might have found a way to like color it. I don't know. Yeah, well, so they won't have grains, but they will be able to make flour by crushing up like some tuber-like things, and they could make like a flatbread kind of thing, but they won't have like earth bread. You know what I mean? Like made from grains. That won't be a thing. But like they would use that word probably. Pottery. Yes. Okay. That goes with food. Like pot. Bowl. They would have had like some form of plate. You know. Vase. What is... Oh, comet. There we go. Do I have like clay? Because they probably would have some sort of like clay materials. Okay. Yes, okay, so we're still doing good. Okay. Both to break bread. Yeah, that's probably true. They probably have some sort of oven. If they don't have grains, what word do they use to describe an occasion when food is eaten? I don't know, like a meal? I mean, like... This is where it's like, I feel like I don't know if they would ever use that to help name something. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I necessarily need a word for that. Well, so they could still use that word though. You know what I mean? Like, because these are the seed words for the people who would have had bread, right? So they would have had bread. They would have potentially called it a meal, right? But also, I don't think I would ever like need that in the naming languages. So I don't know if we need to do that because like I would just call it like breakfast or dinner or a meal. You know what I mean? It would be translated. I don't know. So like, I don't know if that's necessarily necessary. We can add words for like north, east. Well, yeah, because I feel like I could see that coming up in a word, right? Where like maybe they don't know that's what it means, but that's what it means, you know? Okay, let's go. Yeah, that's fair, Pavilion. Yeah, I mean, I do like the word of having something that means like to sacrifice into water. There could be a word for the like if their word was taken over somehow, I don't know, by the fog, they could have a word for that, like coming of the fog or something. Fog. I mean like doom or something. I don't know. They could have a word meaning like a term for like a great migration, like they did to get to Pillar World. But again, I don't think we need too much stuff here. And this might commonly be the type of thing that once I'm actually building out my first culture, I want to come back and add some of these. An earth diver inspired myth would be amazing for this world. Earth diver. An earth diver inspired myth. What does that mean? Yeah. Yeah, they'd probably have a lot of words for the fog. Although, I mean, it would be one like people originally, so they probably would have had like a term for it. But yeah, like whatever their term for that is, they could have called it a number of things. Although, let's add words for like poison, venom. So those would be good to have. Okay, so we did, let's add another section and just call it like basic terms, right? Because I feel like this might be where we want to have a word for like goodbye and like hello, or like a well wishes kind of thing, Why, throw, sacrifice, let's see. Many American indigenous and Siberian, also Eastern Europe cultures have a myth of an animal diving into the waters to bring up the land. Oh, I do like that. Ooh, okay. So if they had a myth, math, wow. Myth for an earth diver bringing up the land. Perform deployers. Yeah. Oh, that's kind of interesting. Ooh, okay. So let's go with let's go up to where we have the fog. It could be interesting. The tide is with fog. Potentially, you know what I mean? That could be very interesting. Trying to think of maybe they might have the word for the like earth diver, which then we could have like dive. I feel like they could have a verb for like to fall, right? That would make sense. Dive. I'm trying to think of how, like, what else they would have that could stick around. I feel like a lot of verbs won't necessarily stick around. Like, it's kind of like we might need to go back and add them as we need them. Maybe there's some sort of term that means some sort of like superstitious, like warning about the fog, right? So like every time I've tried to write fog, I've spelt it wrong, right? But like maybe they have something that's like, like when like you sneeze and people say like bless you, like please don't like die of the plague or whatever. I don't know. Something like that with the fog. That's just like when people are leaving like I don't know, or something about danger. Mind the danger kind of vibe. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, so the myth could become like that a dragon, like some sort of like, yeah, okay. That would be very cool. I do like that. Okay, so we've been doing this for a little over an hour now. My door is still open. Hold on. Okay, the door is locked because the children are coming home. But we still have 50 minutes. So I vote we now pivot and we start trying to come up with words for some of these, right? Like, I feel like that's a thing. So let me switch you over real quick to. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me write that down, Pavilia. Could research the RNE Thompson Untertale type index? Croc. I like that a lot. That's a good idea. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the link. Okay, brilliant. Yes. Okay. Okay, let me pull up now. Where is it? No, that's not what I want. Where are we? Oh, here we go. Here we go. Okay, this is what I want. Make it the same size so it doesn't freak y'all out. And you guys can tell me if this is horrible. So first, just as a quick refresher. Okay, this is our phonology. We have all of these little thingy-doos, right? Yeah, all these. We have this. I vaguely remember what this means, right? This thing, right? I think, yeah. We'll have to check for that. And I think these were some example generated ones. I don't know what any of this means. I think this had to do with changes, maybe. And the light of Jessie and her beautiful paper we shall return. Yes, okay. So that's what we're starting with. So let me now share with you. Share screen. Which one is it? This one? Okay. Let me zoom in. Okay. Is this more readable? So I tried copying in, for those of you who have Lexifer Online skills, because I tried to figure this out in 20 minutes. I kept all of this basic stuff the same. I added in all of the letters, I think. Maybe. And then I kept these all the normal letters. And then because we had that weird, like, A, where A could be R's or L's, but this example had, like, a D. I don't know. So I made that R's and L's. I don't know. I don't know what we're doing. And this was my attempt to do the structure that we had, which was like C-A-V-A-C, but A's are now D's, and I don't know what any of this means, so I just kept it all. This is what I did. And I had it generate 20 things, which turned out like this, which, like, they seem fine. Can I just, like, pronounce some of this stuff? It's fine. Some of these are kind of cool. That, right? I don't know. If this seems like vaguely close enough of a thing or of a setup here that we can move forward with this, that we can start pulling some of these generated words to mean things, which could be fun. We can basically just, well, it'll be hard for me to show you both of them, potentially, unless I do a full screen share, which I definitely could do. Oh, why did that get smaller? Okay. Yeah, does this seem vaguely vibing? Because I can see both at the same time. So I guess you could also just tell me if you'd prefer to see this generated stuff or the original words. The side by side would be helpful. Okay, let's see if we can figure that out. It might be. No, I think it'll be fine. I think it'll be fine because we really don't need. Okay, let me see if I can figure this out. Because actually, what might make the most sense. Let's just do this. I don't think there's anything sketchy here. Yeah, I think that's okay. Okay, let me try to share screen. This. So now the problem is I can zoom in a lot more, right? Over here. And then maybe if here, let's do this. Hold on. Real quick. Pull this over to this side, this over to this side. Share screen, this screen. And then I can make this a lot bigger because y'all don't really need to see all of that. There we go. Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. So we could do that. Let me pull up. Okay. We want a spreadsheet. If you wanted to see the phonotactics, this is what we got here. I don't know. This is what you want. Let's see. Go to my drive. Ugh, I'm not a robot. Sign in. I don't know why this always has to be so difficult. There we go. To open like 5 tabs just to get into it. So we want languages of Pillar Worlds. We want a new Google Sheet for, we'll call it generated seed words. And then I can move this. Let's put it here for now. And then we can like zoom in a lot. And then somewhere, here's my StreamYard. Okay. Let's see. If you hey, watch yourself, Papilia. All right. Okay, so we did this. I think maybe this is okay. And like, I mean, is there any reason for any of these to not be okay? I mean, we don't really care, right? I guess it's as long as it follows some of those other rules, which we really just had no initial bits like this, which is fine. After the C, so you can generate vowel initial and vowel final words. Okay, okay. Yeah. Okay. And then does that mean I can get rid of all of these shenanigans and just nuke them? Let's see what happens if I nuke them. Go. Okay, those are a lot shorter. Which I feel like is less fun. I wonder if we want like, what happens if we put that, well, this basically gives us, is this like multiple syllables? Sort of. Because like if we want a word with multiple syllables, would we just like do like that? I don't know if that does anything. Oh, if you want longer words, you can keep it. Okay, we'll keep it. Okay, good. I feel like this is a good mix. Okay. Okay. I feel like we don't want any single character words because that won't be very fun from a from this. So do we want that? I feel like that doesn't look good. Is that what we want? Or is it fine to stay like this? I don't know. I don't know what we're doing here. Because this is sort of our syllable structure, I think. Yes, no, maybe so, George? For anyone else who has a thought there? Maybe? I don't know. I'll leave it this for now until someone tells me otherwise. Okay, so let's start copying these in. So like, I know we don't have to actually pronounce this. Gajed? I don't know. I feel like that's a fine looking word. Whoa. That's a weird font. Whatever, I don't care. Okay. Erg. Sure. Paba? Maybe? Like, is there any reason other than them being too short to not go with any of these? You know? Nodo Sands for the win. Yeah, it's a little. Like Arial at least is a little better. Okay, let's generate again. Is that a SIL font popping up randomly? Yeah, I think so. It's a Gentium Basic? I don't know. I don't know why it would do that to us. We could probably have some shorter words, right? Control Shift V. Ooh, fancy. Maybe we can also fix it like that. Okay. So maybe we can keep a few shorter words. Okay. That's fine. P. Oh no, the ooh is ooh, poo. Don't know what I'm doing with my life. Sorry. Okay, technologically advanced concepts will tend to have longer words. Okay. So we'll keep some of the shorter ones, but in order for it to be like, I don't know. I feel like I don't want single letter ones. Just because. Though we can, that one seems fine. I don't know. We'll keep that one. I kind of like that. Okay. Do you guys think 3 columns is enough to start with? Up. Up. I don't know. Maybe. Although now all of these are like very different lengths. Go with that. Go with that. Okay, let's do one more go. Oh, I didn't press it properly. Those all look good though. Yeah. No. Okay, whatever. It's fine. Arial. Let's make these all 12. Okay. Cool. So now let's go back over to this. Okay. Okay, so I feel like we should start with finding whatever the word will be for their like dragon-like thing, right? The whatever mythological serpent creature that they have, right? And do we want to just like, I guess we could just put it at the end. Hold on, let me. There, that's a little better for you. I kind of like Kulsu. Kulsu? Hubo? Hubo. Where's that one? I almost feel like I should have put these in order. Okay. I kind of like Kulsu. Although, how do I... Doesn't actually remove it here. Guess we can do that. Hubo. I do like Hubo. I know Nemo does need to do myth evolution stuff. Like it needs to happen. Okay. Cool, Sue. I do like the word hubo. I feel like that should be used for something. Like that should be a word. Maybe that's the word for like chicken. Because that could be fun. Is that here? Am I blind? Can I just not see it? Oh, here it is. Hubo. Oh, okay. Well, I tried to put them in alphabetically. I thought it was supposed to be alphabetical. I don't know. There are a lot of those things. I mean, like, yeah. I feel like the example looked alphabetical. I mean, I feel like probably. You know what we could do? Can we just like stick the second half at the end? Right? And then just generate some more, and now they're gonna be really different, right? Oh god. There we go. And we get some like different feeling ones. Right? Zazapa. There we go. That helps, right? I don't know. I feel like chicken should have a cute sounding word. I don't know why. Oh, okay. Okay. Or maybe that could be the word for alpaca. No, they're going to call alpacas alpacas. Or at least I'm going to call alpacas alpacas. It's a rough life. It really is. Okay. So I feel like that's a short word. That could be a word for like egg, right? I don't know. So we were saying shorter words for more common concepts. So like maybe wing, claw, tail might have shorter words. So like core could be wing. Liddy could be tail. Ig. I don't know, purr maybe could mean like claw. Maybe. Okay. And then let's go down to like what are like some really simple words? I mean, we won't have that many super simple words. I feel like sun could be a relatively basic word, right? Good word for sun. Maybe it's a struggle. It's a struggle, people. Tibarku. Tibarku. Maybe that's a word for like, I don't know, mist. I don't know. Oh, yeah. Let's do that. And then we'll make Cross those two off. Let's do grati. That could be a word for like, I don't know, planets? Is there like any other rhymes or reason to this? Like, I don't know. Sky should have a pretty basic word, right? The for moon. Ooh, I like that. That works. That's the that E is the, hold on. Eh. So that's te. Right? Right? Did I pronounce that right? Te. Someone tell me I'm brilliant. Okay, let's go with Gere. Gere? Gere? I don't remember what the R was. Maybe that can be like maybe looking for planet. So what about like sky? And maybe there's something GER, because sky, planet, I don't know. Maybe they're similar. You know, maybe. I don't remember what the TSH. Is it Sapo? Sky should have a basic word. Meanwhile, the Greeks. Let's call it Ordos. Yeah. Let's do that. I don't know. Maybe. Storm should be longer, right? What about Gabiho? Maybe? That could be interesting, yeah. That's like short-ish. That could be like a word for cloud, maybe? Although, what if that was the word for rain and Gudo was the word for cloud? Because it kind of looks like it starts like the word to storm. I don't know why, but maybe? Copier key para by our set of relatively simple ones. That's true. Okay, so let's do some of these. Oh, nah, too. What if that's fire? Because that should be a pretty simple word. By could be. Oh, that's true. We don't know anything about how like compounds work in this world though. Chain and judge. Okay. 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 Okay, I'm gonna try to remember that. Yeah, it does make sense for some of these to be compounds. But yeah, we don't have that kind of grammatical information for me to know how compounding works. So maybe we just like stick them places for now, and then maybe next week when we have Jake again, we can talk about how compounding might work, and then maybe we'd like move some of the words away. Yeah. Yeah. So let's go with that here. Ihiha. 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 Maybe. I don't know what I'm doing. Igu? Maybe that's day. Yeah, that's true. Like, these could be, like, this initial language could be a hot mess, you know? We don't really know for sure. I don't know. That sounds like a thunder word. Oh, whatever this thing is. Datazi? Datazi? Is that what that is? I don't know. I don't know. Darkness, maybe. Would lightning and thunder have distinct words? I don't know. Wouldn't they? They're distinct things, aren't they? Like, sufficiently? Or what would be... I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know. I mean, maybe. Maybe they would have. I think that will have to be a question for next time. So maybe we leave lightning for now, and we could come back and do that later. I feel like these are a lot of the more basic ones. Oh, we need one for wind. I feel like that's pretty core. Ooh, okay, wait. If sky is Garrett and your planet is Garati, maybe T or Ati means what? Ooh, I like that. Okay, so we could do that. We could do that. Walk. So, yeah, okay, that can make sense. Oh, I have missed twice. Okay. Stick this somewhere. There. I don't know. That seems weird, but whatever. Okay, so if we do go with that, Nemo, where we keep it very similar to like English compounding. I mean, maybe we can do some basic English like compounding, and then I suppose if Jake doesn't like it, we could always undo it. Because like I feel like hail could be like ice rain, right? If we knew what that is. So I guess we could. Okay, let's try to do some of those. If we have storm and cloud, both start with goo, then I feel like goo should mean something. Maybe goo could be the word for rain, and we move this somewhere else. I don't know. Move that there for now. Okay. That's a good point. Okay, hold on. Okay. So, sky plus walk. Walker, right? So sky being Gary, walk being Ati. And it cuts off that last vowel because it does. Goo could be water. Ooh, I like that. Okay. I feel like we had a word for water somewhere. Okay. Goo. So then this means water plus something, right? Water. Water. Something. Ice rain. Whatever that ends up meaning. Water tosser. Okay, but wouldn't like storm be the same thing? You know? Water. Like what would be different between the two? Because I feel like tosser could be, well, I guess maybe to toss. Water sky. Oh. Although we do have Giri as the word for sky, and we already used that down here. So I don't feel like we want to reuse that. And I don't know if we want to do Gugiri for... I guess we could do that. Although... Water bringer. Sure, let's do that. Bringer is do. Bring. Do. There. Do. Then it would specifically be rain cloud, not general cloud. Oh, yeah, that's true. Technically, this would be a rain cloud. Oh, cloud and fog might not be distinguishable. I feel like they would have a word for fog, maybe that would just mean the killing fog, right? Like maybe they would have a word for the killing fog, you know? It's a very good point. So then water bringer. So rain would probably like falling water. Could that be a thing? Falling water, where water is goo. Oh yeah, something Deathbringer. It could just be Deathbringer. You know what I mean? And that it kind of is similar to Cloud. Deathbringer. Where it's something though. And then we would just need a word for, I don't know, death. Would that be a myth religion word? I don't really know where that fits, but we'll put it down here. Let's pick a word for death. What if that, whatever this is, that's the at, right? Or a verb for to die or to kill. That's cool fodder for folk etymologies. Yeah. Let's do this. Could have a death cult. Yeah. Atto or atto. I mean, I feel like you need a vowel between these though. So maybe we just throw a vowel in. Atado. T. T. I don't know. Maybe that. I guess again we don't have to be able to pronounce it, but like maybe. So we have sun. Wind could be its own thing. What about this word? That can be a thing. Yeah. We have fire. Ice. You think Chito. Chito. Feels like you're spitting it out. Well, because it's supposed to be like the aspirated one or whatever, right? Okay, we were thinking ice plus rain. Do we have rain? We don't know what falling is yet. Okay, let's get on to falling. We do need a word for like to sacrifice into water. Throw. Fall. Let's do Naba or fall. It should be shorter, right? I feel like Naba could be cool though, right? Naba. And then falling. Naba. Nabagu. Nabagu. And then ice would be, I feel like that's going to be a long word. Or maybe it could be like cold rain. Rain. And maybe cold could be something like ig. Where we have cold, it's ig. And this could be like ig nabagu. Ig nabagu. Does the sacrifice need to specifically be into water, or could you have a verb to sacrifice that develops a cultural association as being specifically water related? I mean, it would, regardless of what it means, like where it comes from, it would mean like the word they use for their sacrificing into water, whether or not it actually like comes from the words into water. Yeah, so like it could just be to sacrifice. So if we had a word for sacrifice, although I feel like we wouldn't use it, it would only mean that. So like, I mean, that's what it would mean, right? And that could be nacho, nacho. Maybe that word. That one seems, I don't know, vibey. Yeah, maybe. I feel like I should be bolding these for some reason. I don't know. I guess be another term for sacrifice in general without the into water. Yeah, I don't know if there would be a separate word or like if that's the only one that would stick around, you know? Or like maybe they have multiple words for sacrifice and this is the one, like I don't know, but this is the one they use for that. So coming of the fog. So this is specifically the death fog, right? So we had this fall to bring. And then like a vibe or a verb for like come or something, or arrival maybe. And then we could combine it with the other one. This turns into dropping things off the pillars, right? It might be nice to have the word for water in there to show its history. Okay, so if we want to add the word for water in there, then we could keep this as a separate word. And then it could be I mean, we could just say water sacrifice because I don't know how we do any of the like sacrifice into water. I don't know how we do this here. Where's our word for water? Do we have one? Yes, goo. Goo, yeah, okay. Water sacrifice plus. So gunajo. Yeah? Maybe? Something like that? And bringer? Death bringer. Okay. And coming or arrival. Plus bringer. Death bringer. Arrival. You think I can get rid of one of the U's? Okay. So arrival could be Paho? I don't know. That kind of vibes, right? And then it could be Paho at Tido. Arrival of the fog, maybe? I don't remember if you have long vowels. I have no idea. I have no idea. We'll merge them. Who knows? Okay. So let's go up here and look at some of these. Island would probably be its own thing. Dunabo. I don't know. Dunabo. Cliff. I feel like that's random word. Maybe pillar. Because I feel like at the point that we have all of these, they should be different, right? Bathira, it can be a platform, maybe. So this word can be one of them. Plateau, maybe. Because, like, you know, these do have the same, start, but, like, I don't know if that matters. F for pillar. Ooh, okay, where's that? Yeah. Did we have a word for sky down here? Eerie. Okay. So I guess we probably don't need it here. But sky pillar would be, just out of curiosity. Sky plus pillar. Maybe some kind of pairing with cliff. Oh yeah, because they do kind of have a vibe, and I feel like that kind of makes sense. So this could be that. Yep. I don't know if we allow double vowels, but one of those could get like merged or something. Maybe. Perhaps. Doll. I feel like that's a good word for mountain. River, lake, dam, swamp. Yeah. Well, we're close to time, but let's get a few more in there. Giladar. Let's have that be like swamp, you know? I feel like lake or river should be relatively short. Let's do that one. Tola, something like that. Maybe da is the word for edge, so cliff is edge pillar. Da up with a double A. And then we'd have to take off the I, maybe? If da is the word for edge. Pillar. Plus maybe something else. Who knows? Who knows why it's there? So we would have edge. Love word creation. Yeah, we're having fun. Okay. Let's get a few more in. We have a few more minutes. Muti. I feel like that should be, let's do like soil or dirt. You know, I feel like that's a good basic word. Kara. Let's do like burrow. You know? Which maybe I feel like burrow den could be the same word. I don't know if we need two for that. Ija. Let's have that be iron. Maybe? I don't know. Do bubble. Okay. What about cave? I feel like cave could just be like stone den, you know? So if we get a word for stone, I feel like that would be good. Let's do like a basic one. Beto? That could be fun, yeah. So then it could be Cara. Kind of a long word, but why not? Oh wait, I did have stone down here already. Oh well, that's fine. Okay, what else we got? This one's kind of weird. Let's make that nest. Because why not? Okay, we got a few more minutes. Debar. Let's make that like, I don't know, south. Let's try to get the rest of the directional words. Maybe I wonder if you could have like east could literally just mean like sunrise and west could be sunset, you know? That could be kind of interesting. You know? And then It could be, we could use fall as the word for set, so sunfall. Where am I going? Naba? Oh, yeah. Okay, Nemo. Brilliant. Okay. Naba. Who Naba? Naba. Yeah, I like that. And maybe this one is climb, because I feel like climb would be a good word. Ooh, we could add. Ooh, I like that too. Ooh. I like the idea of using these with some, though. I feel like if we could find some other way to use edge, we'll start thinking about like north and south. What do we want to do for that? Climb is a good word. Climb. Let's do that. And then that can be climb. I went right past it. Climb. Hukisi. I like that. Okay. So we could keep Dibar south and north just be completely different. North and south and left and right often came from the same source as well. Really? Could it just be like left edge and right edge? Like, could we do that? Like, left, is that weird? No, they might have had very slight seasonality, but they would have been pretty tropical. Let's do left edge and right edge, actually. So we might need to move that. But what was our word for edge? Da. And then this gives us a word for left and right as well. So da. Dakshin, which just means towards right. Okay. Let's move Dibar somewhere else then. That could be copper. I don't know. Let's do the Pa and R. Yeah, okay. And R. Let's do. Here's Pa. Where's R? So Pa, R. So south would be Arda. And north would be Pada. Oh, you know what they would probably have words for? Okay, let's skip down a little bit. They would probably have a word for like mother and father, right? Like stuff like that would be pretty common. And let's do grandmother, grandfather to start. Let's see. G? Do we have anything like that right now? I feel like that could be like a word for mother, maybe. I mean, well, wouldn't. Is there anything to do like with like the words for mother and father being very easy for kids to pronounce, or like? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I might want to be a bit careful. Okay. Yeah. I mean, like, I feel like we could at least come up with the basics, right? P, B, M are often the easiest sounds. So probably not this one. So let's move this somewhere else. I mean, that could be like, hello, maybe, right? Yeah, because I don't the other thing is that like the kinship structures will probably evolve a lot. So maybe I only come up with like some of the more basic words that might be reused in later things, like a word for mother, a word for father. Maybe we leave off grandmother, grandfather, and then like that could be combined later on, you know? So PBM. B. We could have B mean something, like, or something that starts with B. Like, could be like BB or be something plus something. I don't know. Gives us B. We have M. We do like, and then do we have, I thought, yeah, what if we grab that? We start with that. P, B, M, or G paired with A, O, or U. Papa, Muga, etc. Okay. Yeah, that's a good point, George. I don't really know enough about their, like, you know. Well, Papa, Papa, Mama, yeah. Papa, Mama. Yeah. Although I kind of feel, I don't know. I feel like I associate M's more with, probably don't need to do that, but I don't know. It feels, Baba. Or, boo-boo? I don't know. That could be fun. And then that at least gives us a starting point to derive some of the other stuff. Yeah. Yeah, I have no idea what the familial structure would be, and honestly, I don't even really want to, unless I have to, figure it out for these people, because it's gonna change so differently for the various, cultures that come out of it, you know what I mean? I don't necessarily want that to stick in. Yeah, yeah. Like, maybe I'll decide I do want to have some stuff that's more common, and then I can come back and make common terms for it. But I think this might be a good stopping point for today. We can see what Jake thinks of our progress next time. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Okay, good point. Okay, I feel like we've gotten a lot done. There's definitely more words that we could use, but I don't know. This is pretty good. Oh, interesting. Okay. All right, well, I mean, that works. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It definitely does. Okay, okay, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop. Okay, so trying to think if I have any other announcements. I think there's no Let's Have a Boba tomorrow. I think there's still Lang Time on Thursday, still Conlanging stream on Saturday, and then Monday is going to be a special day because we're going to have this stream, and then immediately following that is going to be the 10-year anniversary, was it 10 year, right? Of the Art of Language invention, right? David Peterson's live stream for that, I believe. So that'll be cool. I'm trying to remember if I'm doing anything else fun this week. I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? But yes, I think that's all we're going to get done for today. And yeah, thank you all for hanging out. Hopefully we'll continue wrapping up some of the seed language stuff next week. And then who knows? Yeah, okay. I feel like I'm going to keep saying random things until I say goodbye. So goodbye, 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 goodbye.